Hey guys, this is Billy from AdultCello.com, and today I'm going to give you part 2 of my kind of vibrato series here. So in part 1, we did 4 steps to learn vibrato, and that was basically you could go from not even having ever vibrated to learning the motions and kind of the little steps you would need to do to get a very slow working vibrato going. So today what we're going to do is we're going to do another 4 steps, and this is going to be to basically enhance whatever kind of working vibrato situation you have currently. It bears repeating, so I'll say that when I teach vibrato to adult beginners, there are 2 things I focus on simultaneously, and I do this because of my experience learning vibrato as an adult. The first thing is, as you would expect, what are the motions? Physically, what do I have to do to make vibrato? The second thing is, how can I find and eliminate physical tension as much as possible? Because even with the perfect motions, with excessive physical tension, it's basically going to nullify whatever vibrato you would be able to make with the motions you're using. So physical tension's the enemy, and these next 4 exercises are going to look at both how to enhance the vibrato you're making and how to check for physical tension, just in case that's the culprit. Okay, so why don't we get started? Step 1 is pumping with a metronome. This is a natural extension from step 4 of the last video, where we were bending a pitch back and forth. Okay, and what we were doing is combining all the steps from the last video and getting a really nice, slow motion vibrato going. All right, so what we're going to do now is put that with a metronome. So what I'm going to do is I'm having the metronome on 50. You can do anywhere between 45 to 60 on the metronome. I'm going to go ahead and do 50. And what that means is every 2 clicks of the metronome, I'm going to change the bow. Okay, so that's my constant. You don't even have to use the whole bow, but just every 2 clicks you're changing. And then I'm just going to oscillate in rhythm to the metronome. And I'm going to start by doing it really slowly, like 1 oscillation per 2 clicks, all the way up to every 2 clicks would be 12 oscillations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. Okay, so instead of me describing this verbally, let me just demonstrate for you, and then we'll talk about what I'm doing. You can do any finger. I suggest second finger because it's usually most balanced, and I'm just going to do it in first position. So I hope that was clear, and you could hear the actual oscillations speeding up gradually in either basically patterns of 2 or 3 against the 50 beats per minute of the metronome. Let me just say that we talked in the last video about walking, power walking, jogging, and running, and how different those things are. Even though they all use your legs, they feel different. This is basically an organized version of that. Okay, so what you want to focus on is making sure that the pumping motion from the arm is really driving this the whole time. Okay, so when you're going slow, you're not using your wrist because it's easier, because you don't have to move as much. There will be a point, and I'm sure you saw it on the video, where it's like exactly between jogging and sprinting. And it's so awkward feeling. Okay, for me, it's basically the third to the last and the penultimate speeds are just really, they feel very slow, and if I let go, my hand just wants to go faster. Okay, so the reason it's worth doing all these variations, even though some of them are kind of unnaturally uncomfortably slow, is that you want your vibrato to be very variable, and malleable to the situation. So you want to be able to have maybe a tight, shimmery, or you want maybe big and wide, depending on the musical situation. By really working all these little nuances out at these different speeds and learning to control your arm in different ways, it just makes it so much easier to then have the control to vary up your vibrato depending on what you're trying to do musically. So don't have a vibrato that's just an on-off switch, where it's like, click, it's on, I don't care what I'm doing with the bow, this is my vibrato. Okay, so this will help with that, with having a, kind of a wider palette you can pick from. Okay, let's go ahead and do step 2 now. Step 2 is a 4-note pulse. Okay, this is great for eliminating a very specific type of tension, and that's tension that's caused from the two hands not working together. Okay, that happens sometimes where if you just get, again, like I said, you just flip the switch on and the vibrato starts going, and the bow's moving at a certain speed. I don't know if you can tell, but my hands aren't actually working together at that moment. I've got one hand going this way and I've got a vibrato pumping, but they're not clicking together like they should, and in my opinion, they should. So if I play, what I do with the bow is going to be reflected in the vibrato. They have to speak with each other, the two hands. So that, by the way, historically for me was a huge source of tension for me, as I just wasn't getting the two hands to work together. Okay, and it was really kind of stopping me up. I learned this from Hans Jensen. It helped me so much. Is he would just have me do kind of a 4-note pulse, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and he would add words to it because sometimes it kind of helps. He'd say, "How are you now? How are you now?" Da 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 da, something like that. And so I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 with the left hand, and the bow is thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you don't have to bounce the bow, but you're just thinking da 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 da, and I actually think about lifting off each time because I want both arms to work together and then release so that there's no extra tension, because if I held on and then things would kind of tighten up again. Okay, so let me demonstrate what that looks like. Ready, and so my right hand's thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, and my left hand's thinking 1, 2, 3, 4. And for me, once I tried that, it just started to click that these two hands are, at the end of the day, we work on independence at the beginning, but at the end of the day, they're working together. And once I started feeling it that way, a big, kind of a huge like layer of physical tension that was getting in my way kind of just peeled off, and it was fantastic. So I want you to try that too. Okay, let's move on to step 3. Step 3 is going to be an extension from step 3 of the first video, and I'm calling it arm circles, but we're not going to make circles. So last video, step 3, was all about learning to basically move your arm all over the place, but keep your finger not only into the string, but kind of holding the same pitch. Okay, so not, my arm's moving, but so is my finger. So it's trying to kind of keep anchored in one spot, moving your arm. That's to free up the elbow, okay? Because what I used to do, maybe you do it too, you set up for playing a note or for vibrato, and you go, okay, and then it just sort of like locks into place, and then things are tight. And it's just because your lat muscles here, maybe your pec muscles, everything is just sort of like squeezed into place. And so even if it's a good angle and everything looks appropriate, it's just going to be tight, and it's going to be that hummingbird vibrato, okay? Take your best finger. It's that finger where if you woke up in the middle of the night, 4 a.m., and someone's like, play vibrato, and you're just like, okay, I have this finger feels fine. Pick that spot and start your vibrato. And then as you start vibrating back and forth with the bow, start teasing your elbow up and down. It's really weird, but it's super helpful because it teaches you to continue the vibrato, so you'll have to keep a good kind of balanced weight in the finger. You know, if you move your arm and it pulls the weight out, your vibrato will leave, and you'll probably hear some cracking in the sound, kind of that thing. So you'll learn to sink weight in and continue vibrating, but allow your arm to move. So you might be asking, yeah, but will my arm move like that? No. Unless you're playing a very weird piece, you're not going to move your arm like that. But it's teaching your body that you can place your arm in a position. You can have your elbow staying in one position, but free and easy. I need my elbow in the perfect place, but I need it totally free and easy, light as a feather. Okay, so the weight is sinking into the finger, almost like a jug. And you're pouring the weight of your arm into that finger and out of your elbow. Okay, so the bottom of the jug gets lighter because you got the weight in your finger. Okay, so this is just... And you might hear little wobbles. I mean, that's fine. You just want to get more and more comfortable with having the elbow move around while you vibrate. Okay? Now, finally, step 4, it's a really good kind of polishing step for a vibrato, is the 1-finger scale. You can do it on any string and on any finger. With the exceptions, 4th finger, I wouldn't go much past 4th position just because we don't tend to, and I think it can be uncomfortable for the 4th finger. So let's focus on 1, 2, and 3 for right now. I'll demonstrate with 2 on a C on the A string. Trust you'll see. And if I play starting on a C, then I'm going to do a C major scale for either 1 or 2 octaves. For the video, I'll do 1 octave. And I'm just, every time I change notes, I shift. Okay, so the fingering is 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay, so it's very simple fingering, but what you're going to do is start a vibrato. This will be with the metronome again. Again, I'll pick 50, and what you want to shoot for is the sextuplet version. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. Okay, ba 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 ba. And if that feels fast, you can go as low as, I'd say 45 would be the slowest I would go, and 60, you could go past 60. I think 60 is already a pretty healthy speed for a vibrato. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate now without vibrato, and I should say that unlike the other exercise with 50 as the metronome, on this one it's just 1 click and you're changing the bow. So click, click, click. Every click of the metronome, you change bows, okay? So here's senza vibrato, all right? Okay, and in the interest of time, I won't come back down, but you would go all the way up, either 1 or 2 octaves, and all the way down. Okay, let's do it with vibrato. What this is going to work on in terms of physical tension is learning to vibrate continuously, but something has to happen when you shift. Okay, so there'll be that moment where you have to kind of leave the string. You're not going to just jam your way through. So during the shift, there's like a slight lessening of weight into the string and you shift in, but then that vibrato just comes right back in. Okay, so it should feel pretty natural and effortless to restart the vibrato after each one. Okay, and I think if you're having trouble, it's getting kind of sticky and uncomfortable, what you can focus on sometimes is having a very slurpy sounding shift, and that kind of helps the arm not get tight of like, this place, is you're just kind of, boom. So it's kind of, it's very, very schmaltzy sounding, but it's a good way to sort of, yeah, and then it keeps going in, okay? So let me just demonstrate what it would look like at 45 and 60 as well, because it's very different. So now the sextuplets are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which sounds fast, but it's actually much slower than the 50 beats per minute. Okay, and so on. So when you're doing a slower motion like that, in my head I'm thinking, okay, I really want like a much wider vibrato if possible, and I need my arm to move at the speed of the metronome. So I'm thinking wider and slower, and then I'm just sort of relaxing into a wider, slower vibrato. So it's not about slowing down a certain speed I have. I don't think I need to do this slower because that causes tension, because now you're pressing the gas and pressing the brakes in your head. I'm thinking, okay, new vibrato, wide, like, that kind of feeling. Just boom, like just nice and wide. It feels different than just being like, okay, this now just kind of go slower. That won't work. Now 60 is a totally different matter. 60, now we're moving. Duckata, 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 duckata. So that's going to be. Okay. So that's very different sounding. And you'll also notice that the scale goes faster because now you're bowing at 60 beats per minute instead of 45, which actually feels much faster. There, I can't think about huge wide vibrato. First off, a really wide vibrato at that speed, to me, sounds pretty hysterical sounding. And there'll be moments maybe where you need that, but for like a kind of a default vibrato, I think that would be unnerving for the people you play with, okay? And for anyone listening, if it's really wide and that fast. So I'm thinking, okay, it's faster, so I need to basically have a more efficient motion. So I'm not going to go for the same big wide vibrato as in 45. I'm going to go for kind of an open oscillation. It's not tight feeling, but it's definitely going to be more narrow because it's faster. There's just no time for that big open wide vibrato. Okay, so it's not about having a vibrato and then changing that specific vibrato, like, let me just take this feeling and make it slower. It's like, oh, it's a different vibrato. It's wider and slower. Okay, now it's a little narrower and it's faster. Okay, that helps too, instead of just thinking of one thing and then trying to like mutate it into something it's not. Okay, let me add one final little parting gift for you. So this is step 4A, okay? And we're going to do the same thing with the tennis ball. This is really good for instances where you're just feeling a little tight in general with the vibrato and you think most of it's together, but it's just not oiled. You know what I mean? It's like all the hinges and screws are in the right parts now, but it just feels kind of rigid. So like we did with the tennis ball before, you can hold a pitch. And you can actually do it with the metronome and practice. Sometimes it helps to just take it out of your fingers. So again, it's, you're sitting kind of comfortably. You're not gripping the tennis ball, but you're just pinning it with the top of your hand in this row of knuckles. You pin it to the string. Again, elbow's not tight when I pin it. It's just pinned gently. I could still lift my elbow if I need. And then I'm just going to roll the tennis ball back and forth in the top of my hand. So I'm not sliding it up and down, I'm rolling it, okay? So it's very different from this, which you could do. But I'm actually rolling the tennis ball, okay? So let's do it at 50. For this one, I'll start on D, so I'll do a 1 octave scale from D to D. And I'll just show you what it looks like. So to me, that didn't sound good, but it showed me with a relaxed contact point how little you need. I felt like that vibrato was actually too wobbly and too wide for my ear. It just sounded a little, kind of intoxicated. So this can be a really good exercise to show you, as long as you don't have physical tension, your body, you don't need to do a whole lot to get a good vibrato and to get a good width, okay? The reason sometimes we feel like I just need to keep going more and more and I'm not getting that nice amplitude in the oscillation, it's usually because you're fighting your own physical tension, and that's just restricting how much your finger is actually rolling. So you can do as much as you want back here, but if it doesn't translate to your finger, you're not going to hear it. Trust me, I've tried. It doesn't work. So anyway, those are my 4.5 steps. I hope they work for you. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.